Hello, and welcome to the Language and Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Autumn Yang, and today I have two guests with me, Marlene Diaz Cervantes.
Hello.
And Gisela Hernandez.
Hi.
And today we are talking about gender, culture, and sexuality, and how they are intertwined with language and communication. I would love to hear about your guys' personal opinions and perspectives regarding the following questions, as well as your experiences as queer women if you'd like to share. A quick little disclaimer: although I know that the LGBTQIA plus community is diverse with labels, I will be referring to it as queer as an encompassing term for brevity's sake, rather than making whole generalizations. And represented on the screens are our avatars, so that it's easy for you to understand who's talking and what they're saying.
What do you think about the changing of pronouns? How does your culture/language affect how you see language change, specifically in the usage of pronouns?
Well, I think that there's not really. Well, okay, when it comes to they, them, I think it's fine because I feel like when people talked back before, not really before this whole thing happened, but more so once our generation came to learn it, I feel like we went and still said they them to people when we were addressing them.
It was natural, so it's like it doesn't even feel like a change.
Exactly. When you your friend, if they were over there, you'd be like, oh, they're over there, they're here, or so it's it doesn't really feel like it changed much. But I think where it comes in is when they ask you to tell their pronouns are a name or something. I think that's where it comes harder to me, because when I feel I don't know if I can address them as they or she or he, because they tell me that their pronouns are their name. And so I feel it's
oh, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Their pronoun is name? Their name?
Their name. Their name is August. They say their pronoun is August. So you just August is doing this, August is over there, August is here.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
That does get a little complicated.
Yeah.
I could see how it would. Would your culture affect, did it have anything to do with your forming of these are what pronouns are, they should or shouldn't change?
I feel like my culture didn't really have anything that changed just because of that. I mean, even in the culture, it was ellos están haciendo, it's they, when you're addressing someone.
Oh god. I feel like there aren't from what I hear, right? There aren't a lot of the pronouns for non-binary people, or they, or maybe I say it unconsciously, and when I speak Spanish when I'm not doing it, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with it. Just adding it, but I don't think I heard it before personally.
As bilinguals, which language do you find is easier to address an intersex or non-binary person in, English or Spanish, and why so?
I think to be honest, I think both of them kind of are.
Easy?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I mean, you see someone who you talk to in English and you're like, oh, they're there, they're here. Oh, how have but you see someone in Spanish and they tell you their pronouns are ellos, and then you're just like, oh, ellos están allá. It's I feel like it's practically the same, but I do think English might be a little easier in that sense when I think about it now, because I guess for Spanish it's ellos can, it's I guess ellos is kind of actually not really that still has gender.
Really?
Thinking about it now, yeah, because ellos is for men or a group of people, but you could also say ellas.
So it could still be gendered.
Yeah.
So it might be a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now that I think about it now, there's gender to that too.
Do you have a non-gendered
saying
terminology for in Spanish?
I maybe nosotros. We are.
Yeah.
But I feel like they is ellos. in Spanish.
Yeah. So like theys are always gendered, but then we isn't gendered? Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so I guess in a sense, English is easier because English is the only way where there is no gender included.
I feel like for me, English is much more easier for me to intersect it because I feel like even though I'm comfortable with Spanish too, I feel like with English I'm more comfortable with speaking about like non-binary and stuff like that. I feel like in Spanish I like babble on and like I can't find the right words, but in English I can do much more better.
Does that have anything to do with like the culture surrounding it, or just like your comfortability in the language?
It was more of my comfortability with the language, with English. I feel like, yeah, because like there's nothing wrong with the culture, but I'm much more comfortable with me speaking by English.
Question 3. How is queerness represented in the media you consume? Does it change across cultures?
Well, to be honest, I used to actually get it a lot in my media prior to like the things I started liking. I think I did have it a lot in my media. I did see it a lot in my media. But
what's it called? The algorithm knew.
Yeah. But I think it was only until I started seeing more like politics and I stopped really like looking at it as much, where my feed started changing. I think it could change between cultures, but I think if you want to see it, it will come to you no matter what culture you're in. I do think that depending on what you like and what social media sees you like interact with more, it's going to come one way or another, you know. It doesn't matter. But I think recently I haven't been seeing it as much because I haven't been wanting to like
seek it out.
Yeah, because of everything that's been happening in the world. But I like, you know, and so it's like I do see it, but it's not as much, not because of the culture change, but because I personally haven't been interacting with it.
From what I see in like social media, I mostly like see like people like in the same sex like being like together, like holding hands and stuff, and like, oh, I'm seeing my girlfriend and stuff like that. And mostly like when I read stuff too, it's also like represented like that, or being like, you stay, oh, I'm bi, like stuff.
Like it's very inclusive and
yeah, it's very inclusive from what I see.
And it sounds very positive too.
Yeah, it sounds positive. Of course, like there's also like some toxic traits about it, but I mostly get like positive. So.
Question number 4. Did religion have an impact on how gender and sexuality were communicated to you?
Yeah, I think
like a lot.
Well, I grew up in a, you know, religion where my gays were not accepted. If we came out as gay, we would automatically be told we'd go to hell. You know, and so that Jesus isn't like, he's a forgiving person, but for this is the one thing he can't forgive, which I never understood. But it's like it played a big role in what I like thought and what I like, you know, thought of like things. You know, I was growing up, you know, very homophobic.
I mean, yeah, socialized into you.
Exactly. So it's like I grew up that way because, you know, my parents would tell me one thing. My sister came out at a young age. I found out, and I saw how my mom was with her, and so I realized that I don't want to do like the same thing. You know? But it's like I do think religion has a big impact on how many people like grow up and think about like sexuality and gender, because if you grow up in a place where it's not accepted, of course you're gonna feel like it's something you shouldn't accept.
Yes, it was very much so, because mostly in my religion, like being in the same sex relationship is not accepted. Because like, oh, you have to be opposite gender because like that's how you're gonna make children. It's supposed to be like that in the Bible. That's how you were created, and da da da. So it's definitely like a big factor about it, especially like depending like if like your family is like highly religious or like not that religious that they don't care.
Now the final question is, what are your perspectives on queer education? What age would you have wanted to learn about queerness?
I think that queer education or it being taught, it's not really taught in schools. I don't think many people teach it. I do think that it's taught sometimes, but I think the only thing they teach about it is how when you were queer, when people were queer, they got punished for it. And so you don't really see it in the light of you're queer and you're accepted, more so in the light of if you're queer, you'll be punished for being queer.
Yeah.
You know? And so I do think that we should teach it at a younger age, because if you're not learning it anywhere, then you're more prone to not like accepting anyone who is, or at least like feeling okay with the presence of someone who is, you know? And so I think that it should be taught, but I think that we shouldn't just teach it in the light of you're punished for being queer.
You have to have that positivity.
Exactly. Because I think there was this one time where I learned like that queer people were being put into concentration camps and like being turned into like the opposite gender just because they liked the same gender. And so it's like that's what I was taught, and so it was like, you know, it scares you because it's like you're queer, and so it's like if this happens again, it could happen to me. But it's like I think that they should teach it in the light of, yes, learn the bad, but also know the good.
I feel like the only education I got from queer education is like the jail time.
Jail time?
Yeah, jail time for like with the queer people and how they're separated
Oh.
from others. That's the only education.
When did you get this education?
I got it a month ago.
Oh, a month in college.
In college.
Okay.
In college.
Do you believe that there should be queer education?
Yeah, because like a lot of people don't know if they're queer or not, or also to be like to learn more about like the queerness and like the history of it. Honestly, learning the history would be much more wonderful, and how it was like back in the day and how it is now. And I don't think like, yeah, it's different, but it's not that different from how it is.
What age do you think?
I feel like probably like in middle school, because you're already like a teen, you're already like going through like emotions and stuff, and I think like that's the most like best time that you would do it.
From these answers, we could conclude that the culture you grew up in, socialization, media portrayals, and the language you speak all affect how one could view gender and sexuality. Perhaps we could create a more accepting environment for gender and sexuality diversity by having diverse education and early education about queerness, and having a lot of positive experiences and media shown to people, so that even if you do have a queer limiting religion or a queer limiting language, you could still find the positivity and find the will to grow around it and grow with it. This interview this podcast is officially concluded. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a good day.